Hugh Freeze killed it at SEC Media Days and set some really high expectations.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie 5.
Sir, we're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie 5, and we are ready to get after a happy Wednesday, the day after Auburn's SEC Media Day appearance. Hugh Freeze did a great job. There's something that I don't think a lot of people caught about the speech and about the way he answered questions, and I felt like a lot of it was sort of callbacks back to several of the things that happened at the early part of the summer or early part of the year, or maybe even into last season, where people get mad about the things that he says or get mad about the things that he does. I thought he had a lot of really subtle callbacks to those that I think can silence some of those critics. And we'll talk about all that and break it down and talk about the expectations that he set for the team in just a moment. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to Rhoback.com. Use coupon code BARN20 to take 20% off your order. Polos, hoodies, swimsuits, doesn't matter. They have it all. They have the polos. They have a lot of fun prints. And if you don't like prints, they got the stripes and solids too. So check them out. Show them some love. You look good. You feel good. And save big using that coupon code BARN20. It's Rhoback.com. It's hard to really get super fired up over SEC Media Days, but I think Hugh really lit the fire with a lot of the fans yesterday as far as the confidence that he seems to carry right now, the confidence that he seemed to sort of exude yesterday in multiple appearances. My gosh, he did how many interviews yesterday? Hugh has always been a wear my heart on the sleeve type guy, and sometimes that's rubbed people the wrong way, and a lot of that has to do with just the overall record. You know, if you look down in the dumps because you're mad that you're losing or upset that you're losing, he shows it. But yesterday was completely different. Yesterday, there was a confidence, there was a swagger about him that I think a lot of people have been yearning for, waiting for to see. The ones that, you know, were all in on the Hugh Freeze hiring. This is kind of the Hugh that you were expecting. This is the kind of the Hugh that you were looking forward to. And I think you got a glimpse of that yesterday. One thing that I thought was there were a couple of parts where I felt like he was specifically trying to call back to early parts of the year, early parts of the summer, where sound bites were taken from things that he said at his, limited appearances and just completely blown out of proportion. And the first one was, everybody remembers the bowl game comment. Everybody remembers, oh my gosh, Hugh just expects us to make a bowl game. What have we done? Not again. Another year of this, another year of that. Completely melting, blowing it out of proportion without even really trying to use any logic and reason and look into what he was saying. And a lot of it was sort of agenda driven, I feel like. But, he's asked, you haven't had the best record? Or do you feel any pressure coming into this season? And he said, I'm not dumb. I know if I don't, in other words, I know if I don't make a bowl game again, I'm going to be in trouble. But people took that as that's the expectations of the season. Well, Hugh was asked specifically, and I love this quote because this is all I think Auburn fans really want to start being a part of. This is all Auburn fans, I think, are really asking. He was asked about expectations point blank on the season. And he said, I truly believe that in the playoff run, we're going to be in that discussion. I love this team. We need to stay healthy and the ball bounce our way a few times, but the future is very bright in my eyes. Be a part of the playoff discussion. How many times have you guys heard me say that? I don't need guaranteed playoff. I don't need guaranteed playoff appearances over the next 5 years. Okay? I understand things happen. I understand things in that very quote happen. You catch a bad break, you get a bad injury, you catch a bad call, a ball doesn't bounce your way, a inexplicable turnover. Things like that happen. But they got to start going your way, and you got to start being to where you're in the conversation. Doesn't mean you're going to make the playoff. But you know what? In November, it needs to be, if Auburn can pull off these next 2 games, they're going to clinch a playoff spot. Or you're always in the discussion for who should be in and who should be out when you're starting to argue over resumes. If that were to happen this year, I think Auburn fans would be very excited. I think they should be very excited. I think that's the kind of goal. That's the goal of rebuilding Auburn back to what they can and should be on the football field. I mean, look at South Carolina last year. They were 9-3, but they were in the talk. Like, there's a lot of people that feel like South Carolina got robbed, and maybe they did. That's the kind of discussion that Auburn needs to be in. And Hugh basically said, that's what we expect. We expect to be right there this year. I've been telling y'all that Hugh feels very good about this team. You can just tell it. If you listen to him, if you pay attention at all, Hugh feels really good about this roster. And I think even people in the media picked up on that yesterday. Because if you remember, I think Hugh is honest sometimes to a fault. Like, hey, sometimes you ain't got to say all that, dog. Just kind of keep some things don't have to be said. You can kind of, hey, brush that one under the rug. Don't let that one escape. Let's keep that one in house a little bit. And he wears his emotions on his sleeves. And you could kind of tell over the last 2 seasons that, I know he may have said the right things at certain times, but you could tell there were question marks in his mind over the last 2 years of the roster as a whole, and those seem to be not there anymore. I mean, I'm sure it's pretty easy from an offensive standpoint to look at that offensive roster and feel pretty confident that you can correct a lot of the things that went wrong last year. You can out-talent a lot of those issues. And what's funny is there's some fans though that are almost mad. Now it's like, oh, well, if we don't make the playoffs now, it's a disappointment. You can't win. You can't win until you win. How about that? Put that on a t-shirt. You can't win until you win. No matter what you say, even if it's 100% the right thing, which I think what he said yesterday was the perfect answer. We got to be in the discussion for the playoff. But no matter what you say, there's going to be a faction. I mean, I saw it yesterday. He's ramped up the pressure now. He's put a target on his back. He's gambling everything on this season. That's some of the things that I saw yesterday. It's like, guys, that's normal year 3. We just want to be, hey, we want a seat at the table. We're going to go try to earn a seat at the table. We want to be in the discussion. Especially after the meltdown over the bowl game comment, I thought this would be like unanimously applauded. And for the most part, it was. Really good answer. Really love the way that he handled that. 2 other things that I feel like he sort of called back, and we'll talk about those in just a second. We'll be back right after this. How many times last year did Hugh give an answer to a question, honestly, again, to a fault, And people said, God, he's got to stop making excuses. Got to quit throwing people under the bus. Heard that a million times. Got to start taking ownership. Heard that a billion times. I'm not going to go into the difference between reason and excuse, the definitional differences, but people were really confusing the two. So what does he do? He's asked about the close games last year. Hey, you still went 5-7. What's the deal? How are you going to make sure you don't go 5-7 this year? The first thing, not the second thing, not the third thing. The first thing you have to do is look at you as a coach. The first thing you have to do is look at you as a coach. They looked into the 4 key elements: turnovers, lack of red zone efficiency, defensive struggles, critical downs. They did a deep dive as coaches into that. Are we coaching it right? Do we need to do something different schematically? Am I, he harped on all the personality tests, and he really put a lot of blame on himself. I haven't really done a good job of learning how to handle different personalities. I coach one way, and it's just, especially with quarterbacks, and it's, hard nose, hard nose, hard nose. And sometimes you got to handle people different ways. That's all taking ownership. That's all. Hey, what are the small things that we can correct? Because the small things, if we have those buttoned up, we're talking about maybe 3 or 4 more wins from last year. How many times did you hear the excuse thing from last year? How many times did you see people saying it? I thought this was a really good one. You don't talk about talent. You don't talk about this. You don't talk about that. You say the first thing you have to do is look in the daggum mirror as a coach and decide, is the way we're still doing things going to work moving forward? Or is it going to yield different results? How can you be upset with that answer? And that's sort of been, I feel like he's always done this. He's always doing this. But when people ask a specific question about a specific play or a specific this, he gives you a specific answer. And it doesn't always satisfy. And a lot of times they're in the moment and he'll pop off. But if you think that he thinks I'm perfect, this is not my fault, I mean, you look at that right there. I think it shows you that he's much more cerebral than that. He understands that, the kicking game was bad. That was something we couldn't really control. But is there anything we did there that could have caused it? He goes out and sort of makes a special teams coach change. We'll see if that yields better results there. I think the quote about, hey, we may look at running different things schematically. I've said he's a system guy. I felt like he's a system guy, and his system only works the way he typically can. He runs it his way. But hey, I got to look in the mirror. Maybe that's not getting it done anymore. Maybe I got to look at changing some things. All of that's a callback to last season. Silencing those critics that say he just passes the buck, he throws under the bus, he does this, he does that. I mean, I don't know how much more clear you can get there. And then the pressure question. People have talked about the pressure on this season. And I don't think a lot of people have been satisfied with his answer, because he says a lot of things like, oh, I'm blessed, I don't feel pressure, I'm this is my dream job, my family's here, blah, 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 blah. And I don't think a lot of people like that answer. I understand the answer because if you acknowledge pressure, you acknowledge that things haven't gone well so far. So why would there be pressure? Because we've had 2 seasons that haven't gone as planned. It puts a high importance on that 3rd season. So if you acknowledge the importance on that 3rd season, you're basically acknowledging that the last 2 seasons have been a wash. The last 2 seasons have been a failure. So he's asked, hey, I think everybody knows that Hugh Freeze knows that this season is really important. But they talked about the pressure in this season. He said, I anticipate it, I accept it, and I expect it. And I'm glad I'm at a place that has those expectations. We want the expectations that this team deserves, and they're good enough to go meet them. The expectations of this team are, I think, gradually getting higher and higher. And Hugh saying, hey, this team's good enough to warrant those expectations. This roster's good enough to warrant those expectations, to warrant the pressure on achieving what this team should achieve. We embrace that. And, Auburn fans and Auburn as a whole gets a lot of grief for the way we react to losing. And I know it's even frustrating to me at sometimes. I feel like sometimes we suck, and then we turn as a fan base, and then we turn around and we'll fill up a stadium for a 3-win team. And then we'll go do it last year and want to rush the field after beating Texas A&M, when we haven't had a really good season. But that's because we have expectations. And Hugh's saying, I embrace those. I embrace the pressure. I'm acknowledging. You're right. This is a big season. It's not even that big. It's not so much big for the fans as it is probably my confidence, his vision that he's selling to his players, to the recruits. Like, there is a lot riding on this year. And I love the way he addressed it. You're right. You're 100% right. There is a lot riding on it. I embrace it. We're ready to go attack it. Again, this is just wildly different than it's been the past 2 years. Yeah, people will point to Peyton Thorne and I are on the same page, and more on the same page than we've ever been. That still ain't anywhere in the ball game of the way he's talking right now. Not anywhere in the realm of confidence that he's talking right now. The first 2 years, tamper expectations. We're rebuilding. Tamper expectations. We're rebuilding. And now it's, maybe we're not all the way there, but I feel like we're going to be in the playoff conversation. I feel like we expect to be in the playoff conversation. In year 3, I feel like that's all you can ask for. That's what you want. And then if you pop and you have a 9 or a 10-win season, maybe you sneak in or maybe you fall just short, but you're in that conversation. To me, Auburn is a powder keg waiting to explode. So I think as far as checking the boxes of what you want to hear on media day, most of the time it's extremely boring. It's extremely boring. But I think Hugh did a really good job of sort of calling back. I love callbacks. Like when I watch movies and stuff like that, especially long series movies and franchises and things like that, and they call back. I love the callbacks, sort of showing that he's aware of what people are saying. He's aware of what he said, and we're going to set the record straight. And then I love the confidence, man. As an Auburn fan, you really couldn't ask for more. So let me know what you think about yesterday. Are we blowing this out of proportion? What did you think about his comments? again, I just don't think it could have gone much better yesterday. We'll talk about some of the things the players said. There was some interesting stuff. Keldrick Falk said, hey, go off, big guy. Go off, big guy. if you're gonna put it out there, let's do it. So we'll talk about all that as the week goes on. Guys, I really appreciate it. It's fun. Media days for Auburn, anyways, are over. So that means camp's right around the corner. We're 2 weeks away from camp kicking off, and then it's going to be on. I can't wait. Got some fun stuff planned for the season that we're going to talk about very soon. So, guys, let me know what you think. We'll talk again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.